There are two lower control arms on the front suspension of the 997.2. The forward diagonal arm, green arrow, that connects to the lower control or coffin arm and the body and subframe. The lower control or coffin arm connects to the wheel hub via a ball joint, red arrow, and the lower subframe, blue arrow, via a nut and bolt. We are going to begin by separating the wheel carrier from the coffin arm. If you are only replacing the diagonal arm, you do not need to do this step. Use an 18mm wrench and remove the nut on the top of the ball joint indicated by the red arrow. If the ball joint spins while attempting this, you can put some pressure on the lower portion of the ball joint to stop it from spinning. Use care so as not to lift the vehicle off of the jack stands. With the nut off, use a ball joint separator and separate the coffin arm from the wheel carrier. With the ball joint separated, you can now remove the coffin arm from the subframe, red arrow, and the forward diagonal arm, green arrow. First, we are going to replace the diagonal arm. Loosen the 18mm bolt, but do not remove it, from the subframe, blue arrow. Completely remove the 18mm bolt from the subframe diagonal arm chassis, red arrow. This is a long bolt. Make sure to reinstall the correct one. Next, use an 18mm socket or wrench, blue arrow, and a 21mm wrench, red arrow, and remove the nut and bolt connecting the diagonal arm to the lower or coffin arm. You can now remove the diagonal arm. Make sure to clean the area between the subframe mount and the chassis. On the left side only is the headlight leveling system if so equipped. The leveling system has a gimbaled arm that attaches to the coffin arm, blue arrow. Use two 10mm wrenches to separate the arm at either the sensor or the control arm indicated by the red arrows. Use a 16mm and 18mm wrench and remove the bolt, blue arrow, and the nut, red arrow, connecting the control arm to the subframe. You do not need to mark this junction. Unlike the rear, the factory lower control arm is not used to adjust the camber. This is done through the top strut mount or the lower arm if you have GT3 control arms or adjustable control arms on your car. Remove the lower control or coffin arm from the subframe. Transfer over the leveling arm connector to the new control arm. Push the center pin out and squeeze in on the clips on the connector. Insert the plastic mount onto the new arm and reseat the pin, red arrow. Installation is the reverse of removal. Torque the lower control arm ball joint to wheel carrier to 75 Nm or 56 foot-pounds. Torque the lower control arm to subframe to 120 Nm or 89 foot-pounds. Torque the diagonal arm to lower control arm and diagonal arm to subframe to 160 Nm or 118 foot-pounds. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and check out another video in this series.